Welcome to Om on the Range, where we share the practice of meditation, the wisdom of Western Buddhism, and the refuge of our community. Whether you are new to meditation or a longtime practitioner, committed or curious, this offering is here to share solutions, stories, and support. Happiness and better health are available to everyone. It just takes practice. This is Om on the Range.
Welcome to Om on the Range. I'm Steph, and this week I have the privilege of hosting a conversation that is still very alive in all of us. Whit is away on business, so I am acting as host and guest for this episode. So I have my Peace Pilgrims here with me, and we went to see the monks who walked from Texas to Washington, D.C. They had walked 108 days, 2,300 miles, walking for peace across America. The monks reached the end of their journey after walking through heat, wind, snow, and the coldest day, 17 degrees, carrying a simple and unwavering message: loving kindness, compassion, and peace. Before it ended, the four of us, Jen, Linda, Lisa, and I, traveled to Washington, D.C. to witness and walk alongside them during part of that final stretch. We're back home now. We were there for 6 days, and this morning we shared reflections as a panel at TBC, Temple Buddhist Center, our Sangha home, and showed a video that we put together of our trip, and the experience is still very fresh, almost tender, I'd say, in all of us. So this conversation feels less like a recap and more like something we're still integrating. In this episode, we'll talk about who the monks are and why they walked. We'll share how this trip came together and what it took to plan it, what it felt like to step into those crowds on the National Mall, and what shifted inside us. We'll talk about the cold, the unexpected moments. We'll talk about Aloka, the crowds, the practice, and what it means to witness peace embodied. I'm grateful to be here with Jen, Linda, and Lisa to reflect on this together. Who would like to talk about how this trip came together? Should it be me or one of you?
It should be you.
Okay.
You're wearing two hats today, moderator
that's right.
and guest.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I started watching the monks on Facebook a couple months ago, and I just was taken with the strength and fortitude that it took to walk barefoot with just their bowl that they eat out of and their robes. And they had this fierceness about them, this determination that I was captivated by. I felt like I was witnessing Jesus and his disciples, honestly. I couldn't tear myself away from Facebook for very long. And then finally, I just said, Jen, I have to go. I have to see them in person. And I mentioned this in front of Linda and Lisa at one of our gatherings, and they said, we want to go too. So we got together and started planning, and that's how it came to be. Really, it all happened just so fast. And I feel like one day I was thinking about, I really have to see these monks in person. And then the next day we're flying on a plane and we're in DC. So that's my part of how the trip came together. I know that there's a lot more logistics we can talk about. So who would like to contribute to more about the logistics of how we made this happen?
Well, I'll just say that it was very easy. I mean, it all fell together. The whole journey did. I mean, the tickets were available, the Airbnbs, it just all fell right into place.
So that's Lisa Schartzer, and she got our flights and our car. Linda got our first night at the hotel where we actually rendezvoused with the monks after their day 106 in the 17-degree weather. We spent the night in that hotel that Linda found, Linda Kramer. And then Jen and I worked on finding the Airbnb that we had for 5 days after we spent our first night in the hotel.
That was really just you, Steph.
Well,
You're being kind. I got us tickets for the monuments at night when they're lit up, and tickets to tour the Capitol, which we didn't end up doing because we were exhausted by that time. But we all certainly pitched in.
yeah. The night before we left, Linda and I were sitting up on the couch. It was getting late, but we wanted to just double check the route of the monks, and the route had changed, and they were changing it daily. Like, they would put on the website where they were going. You could see in live action where they were, but then they would also give you a layout of where they were going. And that's how we planned this trip. And then Linda and I noticed that they had moved their route. So we called the hotel and we moved our hotel from their previous route to their current route. And that made all the difference. The day that we flew, the weather was really, really bad for them walking and for us flying. So we didn't get to land when we thought we were going to land. And I was starting to feel like, oh gosh, we might not see him at the hotel. But what happened?
We got diverted to Pittsburgh, had to hang out for an hour and a half and de-ice, but just landed again in Washington, D.C. and arrived at the hotel just as the monks were coming in. So it's another synchronicity.
There were a lot of those.
We couldn't have timed it better if we tried to arrive right as a few minutes before they were arriving.
Steph found a place to park on a hill of snow.
There was no parking available.
And the police didn't want us going into the hotel parking lot.
But you came out with a key. Somebody met me outside with a key and said that if I could have a key, I could get the police to agree to let me park closer to the hotel.
You
Go
needed the
ahead.
key to park closer to the hotel.
I
Well,
did.
Yeah, so as we were approaching the hotel, it was crazy. It was packed with people. I mean, you couldn't even get into the hotel parking lot.
Right.
And so the police were just like, you got to keep going. And we're like, but we have reservations. And they said, you got to keep going. There's nothing I can do. There's no place to park. But Steph, being the master navigator, found a way to go around and then try to get in a different entrance. And we were stopped by the police officers, but you were able to find a place close enough by, like Linda said, on top of a snow mound, and park there and run in just minutes before the monks arrived. So
Yeah,
it was, people were really ready to meet them. And the hotel was truly overrun with people trying to catch a glimpse.
Well,
have a
and the
moment
funny
with the
thing
monks.
is as I was going up to the hotel, I was waving my key and they were letting me into the front door. And when I walked through the front door, all eyes were on me. And because I think everybody was waiting for the monks, but instead it was me. I'm like, I'm nobody special. I have a key. Can I get in?
Well, and I remember I'm on the other side of the lobby and I saw you come in and I yelled, Steph,
Right.
like Forrest Gump yelling, Jenny,
Right.
so you could find me. Oh, it was a moment.
And then, I mean, you could have heard a pin drop in there that people were so quiet waiting for the monks to come through. And they were just like 1 minute behind me. It's crazy. And then I stood in there with you guys and it was just a magical moment. And when the monks walked in, I just wept. I know, Lisa, you were crying too. And
I was too. Mhm.
They were so calm. And as you pointed out at the service, that you would not necessarily have guessed they just walked probably 10 miles in the snow. And the other thing I noticed, and this is all along our journey in their walks, they have such sweet smiles. I mean, there's a real presence there, but their smiles are so sweet.
they really are. Oh, yeah. That sweetness just like melted the armor around us.
Around our hearts.
Yeah. Because we all walk around with so much guard up, because we've been hurt so many times or we're afraid of what's around the next corner. And we just live kind of these guarded lives. And they didn't seem guarded at all.
And if they were a different kind of person, their rock star celebrityness might have kicked in. They just don't have that
They're
don't
just
have that
walking for
ego.
peace. That's the only thing
Well,
they're doing.
they understand their ego and its place.
You know, I didn't know how many people were really appreciating what they were doing. I mean, sure, I saw likes on Facebook. I'd see a few people on the side of the road, but I wasn't prepared for the thousands and thousands of people that were supporting them. So that's why I wanted to go. I wanted to say thank you.
I had participated in marches, particularly 1969, and I was young and I was angry, and we were marching against the war and against racism, and we pumped our fists and yelled and screamed. And when I saw the monks and in this walk, totally different, and I recognized how different I am now, not angry. And it's because of this practice that I really felt that sense of peace and connectiveness. So it was a bookend for me.
Well, I wanted to feel their presence and certainly did. What it also made me realize is that we have that same presence in our little Sangha where we meet. So it was really nice to be able to connect the two and the wholeness. And
That what you feel in our Sangha, you felt with them, with the monks?
yeah, it was a little stronger with the monks because they did what they've done, but I still feel in our Sangha the presence of people that care. It just feels like you're being held.
Like this sort of vast acreage of love and spaciousness for whatever you're bringing. We're here to hold it.
Right.
We can hold it, and we're not bringing any judgment or pretense about it. We're just saying we're here for
And you
each
don't have
other.
to do anything to receive it, but
Yeah,
be here.
yeah, that's beautiful. Jen, do you want to add anything?
Well, my primary motivation was just another adventure with Steph Watkins. You know, she's always saying, let's go here, let's go there. I'm like, okay, let's go. Whoopee. But we have traveled a lot and we do try to integrate, you know, spirituality, mindfulness into our travels. So I thought it would be neat to take a trip, the four of us. It'd be an adventure and it would be something meaningful. And you wanted to go so much. It just seemed, well, let's just go.
Yeah, and I love that Linda and Lisa wanted to go with us. I think that is just so super cool. I've never really done a trip like this before. Maybe one other time in my life, I went with two other people, and this was just incredible.
I wanted to say something about that just a few minutes ago when we were talking. I know you talked about letting the armor off, which I was able to do with all of you, which made a deeper relationship between all of us. And another great feeling of love just to be together and support one another. And the audience doesn't see us, but I'm on the older side. And so I always had to make sure I had an arm so I didn't fall in the slick snow and all of that. And as long as I was paying attention to where I was going and holding on, it was great. I was appreciative of being able to be with you all and not feel afraid of my physical abilities. So that was
Yeah,
nice.
beautiful.
I just want to add, I mean, this was a beautiful, meaningful experience. I also had a lot of fun. It was almost like a slumber party on a whole different level. It really is what you're saying, Linda. We just could be ourselves, sitting on the couch, lined up, eating popcorn. I mean, it was just fun.
It really was. It was a very sweet bonding time for the four of us, getting to know each other, having fun together, problem solving along the way. And we just all worked together really well. There was never a moment of irritation, any
Now, there was
drama.
a little because some of us had to make an apology and say, oh, we'll wait
well-
for you the next time. So it wasn't
Yes.
all just smooth. That thing was not smooth at all. So
Well, there were bumps, but they all smoothed out. And
yeah,
there was nothing lingering. There was repair right away.
right.
I just had a moment and I just needed some support and I got it from my friends. So
Yep.
we'll just
Yep.
leave it at that.
Yeah.
I was having a human moment.
Yeah, and we were all
Yeah.
apologetic because we messed up too. We had our human moment too.
But then we
Okay.
were like right back up and running. It was,
Yeah, we were. And that's just how you roll, Jen Reed.
yes.
It is. I love that. So, any more details we want to add about where we went and what we saw? Some of you got to go to one of the museums.
Well, we got to go to the National Gallery of Art, and Halder has a huge mobile in there that we didn't get to watch it for as long as we wanted, but
Alexander Calder.
yes. And then some of us got to go see Grandma Moses exhibit,
Mhm.
which was really fun. We could have spent more time,
Yeah.
but there's just so much to do.
DC is an awesome place to visit. But before we did the museums, let's recap. We got in the car and we went to the hotel. We saw the monks. The next day, we're looking for the monks again on the side of the road. Anywhere we can find them, we're looking for them and we're stopping on the side of the road and we're saying thank you. Lisa and I got out. Then the next day, we all rendezvoused at the cathedral.
We saw them a couple blocks from the Airbnb.
Oh, before the cathedral?
Yes. Yes,
I
we
think
did.
so.
Oh, I
Yeah,
have
we
that
did.
backwards in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong. But
No.
it wasn't just like we were driving around. I mean, you were very strategic. Steph understands navigation and was able to follow the Facebook posts from the monks where they showed where they were going to be and time it so that we could park and be able to see them as they walked by. So I thought you were magnificent at all that navigation.
Thank you.
And it was the Airbnb piece was prior to that, because the joy of the National Cathedral was they had done that walk, and the National Cathedral was the end. They were walking
Right.
in, and that in essence was the end of their journey.
That's right. So, okay, I remember now. That's right. I went out on a reconnaissance mission to find them as they were leaving Alexandria. I think was the little town they stayed in after the hotel with us.
Yeah.
They walked to Alexandria and then from Alexandria through Arlington, 1.5 blocks away from our Airbnb. So we just all we
know.
had to do was walk out our front door, walk a block away, and there they were. And that's when we gave them the roses. And then, right, then the next day was the cathedral. Yeah.
Also blessed to see the bishop of the National Cathedral, and I may not pronounce her last name correctly, but Marianne Buddy or Bud.
Buddy.
But I was just happy to see her
Me too.
because I admire her so much.
Oh, absolutely.
And all of the different religions that represented the whole world.
And so many more monks had joined Venerable Bhikkhu Panyakara that day, walking up to the cathedral doors, hundreds of monks. And we were there with Ken and Nancy, and we met some lovely people while we were standing there waiting for them to speak.
Well, ultimately, they were going off to George Washington Smith Center for their meditation.
Mm-hmm.
That was when you and I decided to walk
With them.
to the Lincoln Memorial.
That was Wednesday. So that's when Linda and Jen went to go see Grandma Moses and do some other art. And they got massages. The two of you got a massage.
You and Lisa, Steph, get the
Awards.
yes, because
For
you
being
just
present.
you just kept going and going. You were the Energizer bunnies, just going and going and going in sometimes tough terrain with the snowcrete. You were stalwart, intrepid Energizer bunnies, and Linda and I did decide to go do some self-care and get massages and go to the art museums. But we followed you all day on your Facebook posts and Find My and watching the videos that you were sending us. And And so we were with you in spirit
We
and
felt you.
vicariously.
Well,
Oh,
that was why I went. I had originally thought we could walk with the monks on the road, not realizing that wasn't the way it was going to be set up. I said this earlier, that piece of it was the most impactful for me. I mean, to be hundreds of us walking, looking at that Lincoln Memorial and what it stands for,
Yeah.
and to walk and get to see the monks ahead of us walking, it was just beautiful.
That was a very moving day. We got to see Venerable Bhikkhu Panyakara walking barefoot from the Washington Memorial to the Lincoln Memorial on that sidewalk there. Thousands of people showing up. That was a very, very powerful day.
And the positivity of the crowds of that.
That's it.
I mean, it was not political, really non-religious.
That's right.
It was just to walk for peace. That's it.
You know, Linda, I'm glad you brought that up because Lisa and I were saying that back and forth to each other when we were walking. We were like, this is so amazing. It's so quiet and peaceful, and nobody's singing, nobody's chanting, nobody's holding up signs. It was just beautiful. I don't know how to describe it. It wasn't anything I'd ever experienced before in my life.
No, and all I heard was thank you, sadhu, sadhu. Calmly said with respect.
Just like the little sign that the kids in Canada made for the monks.
Mm.
And they had their teacher write in all different languages, thank you, thank you.
That was beautiful.
That is what you heard.
Did you all get to see Aloka?
yes.
Yeah, that was when I was outside in the morning listening to him talk, but they were doing a catwalk with the Loka inside the lobby, right?
Right.
Yes.
The thing that was beautiful to me about that was, and this was all along the trip too, the monks were very attuned to children. So even like on the walk, the monk would receive a flower, but up the road, they would give it to a child. And that happened too with the Loka. They were very careful about bringing him up to a child.
So sweet.
Yeah, it was sweet. And it's nurturing. I mean, that's the generation that's going to
Right.
make a huge effect.
100%, Lisa. I'm right there with you. I kept feeling the same thing. I think I even said it to Jen, like, think about these little kids that are seeing this. Wow.
A lot of parents did bring their little children.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the monks just a little bit, their lineage and their tradition. They follow the Theravada Buddhist tradition, specifically focusing on Vipassana meditation. They adhere to the earliest teachings of the Buddha, often walking barefoot and relying on the generosity of others for food and shelter. Basically, they didn't know where their next meal was coming from. They didn't know where their next shelter was coming from. It was just out of the kindness of people's hearts that they were able to make it that far, cared for.
Even though they stayed in our hotel, they were sleeping on the floor in the meeting room.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, because I almost walked in there after they got there because I went down the stairway instead of the elevator, and there I am. There they are.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's why you have a glow about you these days, Linda.
Yeah.
You were like in their energy super
So I
close.
stepped out into the door, into the space they were going to walk on, as people started yelling at me, get off, get off. I had no idea, but I was walking on the carpet. They laid down with little rose petals. I was walking on it. And so I jumped off, went to the end of that, and found a place to stand.
It was so beautiful to see the outpouring of generosity from people who were there in the hotel. We saw they had a room with tables all around the perimeter. All the tables were laden with food and gifts. When we saw somebody reached out and handed one of the monks a sweater for Aloka, and so they were showered with provisions.
I think it was after the walk was over, but Bhikkhu commented that he thought maybe 10, 15 people would probably pay attention to their walk. he truly did not know
Right.
what this was going to turn into.
At one point, he said that they walk about roughly 12 miles a day. And as they got closer to Washington, D.C., the whole 12 miles was lined with people
Mm.
towards their last days on their way to D.C.
You know, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, there were a lot of people who came in from other states. It wasn't just people from Washington, D.C. You know,
Yeah, like us.
yeah. And I think probably like us, people kind of wait until the last minute.
Do we want to talk about our takeaways at all?
Yeah, let's do. Lisa, I wanted you to talk about the crowds. You had a really great share today in our panel about what you felt in the crowd. Maybe you've already said that in this podcast, but
Well, Bhikkhu stressed that peace begins within.
mhm.
And obviously, I agree with that. But I also felt an overwhelming sense of collective peace on that walk to the memorial. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of people, calm, joyous, loving. But I felt a collective sense that there is a way of responding to this messy, messy world differently than what's generally happening. And I really had a sense of that we were walking for peace, we were walking in peace, and we were walking for the hope that this possibility would spread. I suppose my takeaway is that I can personally have inner peace and I can be with people who are loving, kind people like our Sangha. But I'm hoping that this spreads beyond, that people will look at what's going on and say, this is not right. And I guess that's probably Pollyanna, but I actually believe that it can happen.
I'm right there with you. We strengthen that within ourselves by being with our Sangha. So the Sangha is a little bit like a vitamin that we take each week to strengthen our immune system to the sickness of the world, and we go out there with our strong sense of peace, and who knows what we can do if we're strong, if we take our vitamin Sangha.
Yes. I just thought the way I started the trip and the way I ended the trip was so different. I thought I was going to witness people walking for peace, which I did. And then I thought, well, peace is something that I already have and it's a good thing. And I hope that monks change some people's minds who don't embrace peace, but that it wasn't necessarily something I was anticipating getting so much out of until I started listening to what he was saying in his talks. By the end of the trip, I thought peace isn't just like an opinion that's anti-war. Don't hurt other people. It's not just an opinion. That inner peace begins with the way I choose to manage the warring factions of my mind, the things that I am in opposition to and in aversion to and resistant to and angry about and hurt about, all that is in me and in my experience. And all of that resistance is where I need to apply peace. And that just means allowing it all to just be and stop being at war with what is. That was my quest for peace, to stop being at war with what is. And that is part of my practice. But with the monks, I got to a much deeper place. It was a big step forward in my practice. I'm just very grateful to note where I began the trip and where I ended the trip. And I just feel very grateful for the experience.
Wonderful. Linda, how about you?
Well, I realized that the walk for peace did not end at the cathedral steps where their walk ended. Kind of like Jen is saying it, my inner self needs to have that peace. And I spread love by having that inner peace. And I brought it back to our Sangha that for me, I feel a lot of what I felt in Washington, D.C. in our Sangha. I feel that holding that peace. You know, we don't have it every day, but we still feel it within the collective Sangha. And so it's our job or my job. And these little kids coming up in our lives, I mean, the more we work with those kids, the better our world is going to look in the end. And the same with keeping check of our own self and not judging. And if I'm seeing something in somebody else, maybe I need to kind of refocus on myself. And what is it that's in me that's like them? I just loved being and feeling the warmth, the compassion coming off of the monks. And I feel that safety within our Sangha as well. So,
Wow. Beautifully said.
That anger
Mm-hmm.
is in me now for all the reasons you guys just said. Because the Sangha is so loving, so supportive. That anger is a protective device in me, and I don't have to have that anymore.
It's beautiful.
Well, I thank you all so much for doing this podcast with me. The monks walked 2,300 miles for us. They crossed cities, highways, neighborhoods, in the open road, carrying nothing but their robes and bowls and their commitment to peace. The walk is complete, but it's not complete, right? Because it still lives in us, and we're going to carry it on, carry it forward. It's just something that they reminded us that we already have. Bhikkhu Panyakara said that it's in a box inside of us, and that we have the key to open that box and to
Yes.
let it out.
I love that story.
Me too. And the other thing that Venerable Bhikkhu Panyakara said was that he wants us to write down every day, today is going to be my peaceful day. And we write it every day on a piece of paper with a pen or pencil, and we say it out loud. He wants us to get that feeling in our hand and in our body and to say it out loud. And I think that's real important. I mean, that's the least we can do with our busy lives, is just to write that one sentence. And I'm committed to doing it. Are you guys committed to doing it?
Yes. Create
Sure.
synapses.
Yes.
Yes. So I feel like they changed the way that I understand my practice. And I feel like peace comes through me, not to me. So it's my job to open that box and let peace come through. That really is what I walked away with. So I want to thank you, my fellow peace walking pilgrims, for being willing to step into this conversation and share so openly from your hearts. We said we were going to make this episode real and true and grounded in our lived experience, and I think we've done that. You can send comments to us at omontherange@gmail.com, or you can leave a comment on our Spotify or our YouTube page. Thanks again, everyone, for listening and for practicing alongside us and for being part of this Temple Buddhist Center community. And on that note, let's all say happy trails.
Happy trails.
Happy trails.
Thanks to our on the Range production team for making this program possible, and to Mr. Brad Athey for composing and performing the original music. And to you, our listeners, thank you for being a part of this journey as we explore meditation, Western Buddhism, and the path towards a happier, healthier life. Remember, less suffering and more joy are available to everyone. It just takes practice. Until next time, stay grounded, stay kind, and keep finding peace in the simple, practical things. For all of us here at On the Range, happy trails.